Happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you for watching my fourth episode of my Time for a Comeback vlog as I make my way to the Canyons 100, which will be at the end of April, April 28th, 29th. As some of you may know, and for those of you who don't, the Canyons 100 mile race will be on the Western States course and sort of go backwards in comparison to how Western States goes, which means we'll be starting in Auburn instead of finishing in Auburn. So it'll be a new adventure for me, see things backwards in a way, and I'm getting ready for it. It's about, 16 weeks before the race, before I actually do some really race-specific training. And so for October, November, and December, give or take 12 weeks, we'll be focusing on base building. What is base building? Base building is working on strength. So I'm in the gym 4 times a week, 5 times a week sometimes, doing a lot of walking. Last week, totaled about 35 miles, with 5.5 miles of that running. Everything else was walking. Do a lot of walking in and around my neighborhood. I'm a teacher, so I pace a lot. So that walking to and from campus or on the campus as well really adds up, and it's low aerobic, right? So you're in that zone 1 area when you're walking. But it has shown that it is paying off. Last week I told you guys I ran a trail out here in Phoenix for the first time since the end of June, and I was 11 minutes faster. And weather played a part in that for sure. Then this past weekend went back out to that same trail, and this is going to be my baseline to see how improvement is going. And this past weekend was 1.5 minutes faster, and actually ran it in a warmer part of the day than 2 weeks prior. And so the things that I'm doing and going to the gym and strength training seem to be paying off, right? So for those of you who are wondering what that strength training looks like, one day legs, where squats and reverse lunges and leg extensions and leg curls and using the ball for hamstring curls are involved. We'll start to include deadlifts in there as well here real soon, as those will be really important for strengthening the muscles that are going to help me climb what amounts to 24,000 feet. But let's not forget, I'm going to descend about 21,000 feet. So 450 foot per mile of elevation change. Your legs have got to be strong. It's not just about running in those situations, but also doing upper body, working on lats and tris and bis and shoulders. You're going to be carrying equipment and gear all throughout the 100 miles, which, let's say, even if it's super fast and it's 24 hours, that's still a full day of carrying weight that you normally don't carry around. And so that strength training is paying off. And then start to dial in nutrition and figure that stuff out. Right now, for that 1 hour run, give or take, for the 5.5 miles, I am carrying a flask with Tailwind nutrition in it. It's about 240 calories, give or take, and then just rehydrating when all is said and done. Not putting gels or any sort of bars into my system at this point right now for only an hour. But as we move along and we start to add in time to the training plan, we'll start to fool around with additional nutritional products, from gels to bars, predominantly Spring Energy gels and scratch bars most likely, but still see what else out there works for me. Salt tabs will also be a part of it, from Salt Stick. So adding all of those things together will make a big difference. But so far, so good. This past week was active virtually every day of the week, including an open water swim for about 30 minutes out here in Lake Pleasant. The water's cold, but it was great for recovery, and you could feel the muscles that have been worked for the previous 6 days while I was swimming. So far, so good. One of the things I want to talk about is one of our co-owners at Run Try Bike, Aum, is taking a really long respite before he starts to build for I Am Tough 100. And I've got an athlete that I coach who is racing in the middle of June, first third of June, who's going through a similar program where we're going to be focusing on strength training for the next 3 months before we really get into a training plan that is race specific. And that's something you need to consider when you're plotting out a race. and what your training should look like. If you want to hire a coach like myself, we're more than happy to walk you through it. But if you're doing it on your own, make sure you're building in the strength training components, your core components, your balance components, as well as rest and recovery. That's super important too. Swam yesterday for 30 minutes, but then spent almost the entire day sitting on the couch grading and watching football for the most part, allowing my body to recover before heading to the gym this evening. When I say this evening, that means I slept in. Something that's super important as well. Make sure you're getting all that rest and recovery that you need. But outside of that, things are going well, and looking forward to continuing this build as I make my way to that starting line in California at the end of April. On a side note, for those of you that are watching this and wondering if this is something you can do, the answer is yes. We have built a platform for you to find other athletes who are doing amazing things at these events, whether that's sprint triathlons, 5Ks, Ironman distance events, 100-mile events, 200-plus mile events. We have athletes telling their stories of how they got started, what they're going through, how they're building to that event, and then in some cases DNFing. We have a My DNF story out there, and these things happen. If you participate in these sports long enough, it is most likely going to happen to you as well. So stick around, read the stories, and then tell yours, because yours is valuable and it's something that we want to share as well. So thank you for watching this vlog. Keep working out, keep building that strength, keep running, and when you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. There are days when waking up is enough, and sitting on the couch and relaxing is important, and don't let anybody fool you that you have to constantly be grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. If your body tells you no, then listen to your body and not what somebody on social media is going to provide you a kudos or a like or a backslap. Pay attention to your body and make sure you're doing what's right for you. Thank you for watching. Until next week when we discuss what that week's training was like. Thank you.